All right. So, what are the examples of anarcho-tyranny, right? Well, here's a little anarcho-tyranny story by some girl named whoever the fuck this is, right? I've been asked to not tweet about this, so of course I want to tweet about it. There's something very confusing to me about the way San Francisco approaches guns. We are allergic to the idea of open carry, yet every criminal caught with an illegal gun faces no consequences. Yep, that happens. I see image after image of SFPD of drugs, weapons, and guns they find on drug dealers, burglars, and etc. From what I can tell, all these people are released. I believe you only go to jail right now if you seriously injure or kill somebody. Yet it is my understanding that we have very tight and specific rules about open carry and owning guns, etc. I've had a hard time figuring out what the rules are. But I think you are required to keep a gun under lock and key and ammunition separated. This confuses me. The sense I get is that if I were to own a gun and use it, there is a chance I could go to prison, unless I could prove without a reasonable doubt that I was in self-defense. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of criminals roaming San Francisco with guns, consequence-free. For all my life, I've heard my progressive friends talk about the crazy Republicans who believe that you should be allowed to roam the streets with guns or something to that extent. Yet here we are, progressives in powers, and lots of people roaming the streets with guns. And that's the end of the story. So this is a story of a woman literally discovering in real time anarcho-tyranny, right? And one of the most powerful examples of anarcho-tyranny are gun control laws. Because you end up with a disarmed citizenry, right? You end up that the people who actually are stupid enough to follow the laws are disarmed. The people smart enough to break the laws, aka criminals, are armed, right? And then you have the state, who's also armed. So you have a citizenry. You have a citizenry. You have basically. You have the criminals on one side, the state on the other, and in between are all the people who are stupid enough to follow the laws, right? In between, you have the citizenry. So that's an example of anarcho-tyranny. Here's another example. It's nearly impossible for a law-abiding citizen to obtain a concealed carry permit in San Francisco, yet gun-toting criminals are allowed to run around freely wreaking havoc thanks to the district attorney's policy. I believe this is what, the previous woman that I was talking calls anarcho-tyranny. And here's another real-life example of anarcho-tyranny. A restaurant owner friend in Oregon gets constant harassment/threats from cops over indoor mask mandate enforcements, but they never arrest anyone for break-ins, vandalism, assaults, theft, etc. It's rare that they even show up to investigate. So that's another great example of anarcho-tyranny. You don't wear a mask, you get arrested. But they can't find people who vandalize, assault, break shit up, break shit. They can't find those guys, but they can find people. They can't find the real criminals committing real crimes, but they can find people who aren't wearing a mask and find them or arrest them. So what are other examples of anarcho-tyranny? When Facebook allows for posts calling for violence against one group, aka Russia, but not calls of violence against others, such as gay people or pedophiles. When the government allows Black Lives Matters and Antifa to be allowed to protest and riot and burn shit to the ground, but anti-COVID lockdown demonstrators and protesters are not, they get arrested. When Kyle Rittenhouse is prosecuted for defending himself, but the man, Gage Grosskreutz, who is on camera putting a gun in his face and trying to kill him, is not. That is anarcho-tyranny. Those are some very good examples of anarcho-tyranny.